This is the K2 Pro and it's a newest launch for Keychron. It's part of their Pro Series lineup of keyboards, and when we're talking about the K Series Pro or the K Pro Series keyboards, these are going to be just like the normal K Series keyboards, except that they're going to include some added features that are going to be more pro or more of the customizable, more of the premium keyboards that's going to be added to their normal K series. Now the normal K2 V2 from Keychron, that's the exact same one of these, except it's an older iteration, was one of the most popular ones because it brought a lot of the Mac users into the keyboard community. It showed them that there was a pre-built keyboard out there that was compatible with Mac. It had the function row completely compatible with the exact same layout as you would see on a Mac keyboard. You were able to control the media, you were able to control brightness, you were able to control volume, everything straight from your Keychron keyboard. And since then, Keychron has been launching a ton of different keyboards, from the most premium Q series to some of their more budget V series keyboards. If you've been following the pre-built community, which is a lot of the keyboards that are coming out now, a lot of them are going to be Mac compatible. Keychron started with their Q series lineup. That's a wired keyboard. It's fully aluminum. It's QMK and VIA compatible, meaning you can set macros to every single key on the keyboard itself. And since then, Keychron saw how popular those were. They launched their V series type of keyboards that were kind of a Q Lite. They had everything that was the exact same. They were compatible with QMK, VIA. You can set macros on them. They also were plate mounted now, and they were made of plastic rather than aluminum, but they still weren't Bluetooth. And since the launch of those, they went on to launching the K Pro series type of keyboards that were their other K series that were made of plastic. But now all of those are gaining some of the QMK VIA capabilities for macros. They're coming with some foam installed, or pre-installed I should say, because you can always install it, but they come with foam pre-installed so that you can get better sound out of the keyboard, as well as getting new keycaps, the same exact keycaps that you're getting with all of the other Q and V series lineups that are double shot PVT. They're supposed to be better for your keyboard, and they're not going to collect all the oil like the old ABS keycaps would. Now, unfortunately, if you did like the normal K series because of the shine through LEDs on their ABS keycaps, you were able to see all of the key legends as you were typing whenever the keyboard was on. Some of the RGB lighting was a little bit better, again, because you could see it through all of the keys. But with the Q series, see, I'm already getting confused. But with the K Pro series, you don't get that anymore. They're all south facing, meaning they're on the bottom side of the switch. And none of these are see-through, so you won't be able to see any of the key legends. The lighting will be more kind of like an ambiance, whatever lighting, where you can kind of see it around the keys. Now, luckily, throughout all of their launches, Keychron still launched the K Pro series keyboards, which are for those that just want a plug-and-play option, something that you can take out of the box, hook up straight into your Mac, and then you can go ahead and just get to typing. They still have all of those keys mapped exactly like you would see on a Mac keyboard, with the media keys working just fine, the volume, the brightness, screen brightness. And again, it's Bluetooth, so it's very much portable, unlike something that's more customizable, something that's more on the premium end of things, where they're a little bit heavier and they need to be wired so that you will always have to take a wire with you wherever you go. So luckily, the K Pro series is still one of the better keyboards for those of you that want to take something portable wherever you go. Now, the reason I'm calling this the V Pro series type of keyboard is because Keychron went with the Q series, the more premium one that was fully wired. Then they went with their V series that was made of plastic, but it still had all of those same features as the Q series. And now they came out with this one that's still plastic, just like the Keychron K series and like the V series, but now it's Bluetooth. So depending on how you look at it, from the K series to the K Pros, you get VIA functionality, you get double shot PVT keycaps, you get some of the foam included, better acoustics in the keyboard, and that's what's an upgrade or the pro part from the regular K series. But if you're coming from a V series, the only added thing that you get for these keyboards is that now that they're Bluetooth. So luckily, this kind of stands right in between both of those. The other two are going to be a little bit on the cheaper end, especially if you go through a third party like Divinity. If you're in the US, you can get these bare bones, meaning no switches, no keycaps. If you're going to customize it anyways, you can get it for about $30 cheaper than you would through Keychron or through Amazon. Now, if you are thinking of customizing the switches, I highly recommend you go through them. I'll make sure to link them down in the description. But if you're someone that you're not really sure if this is a keyboard that you want, you can always go through Amazon, buy one, see if you like it, check out the switches and the keycaps. And then if you do like it and you decide you want to customize it, you want more customized keycaps, some that you really like, then you can always return it to Amazon and then go ahead and go through Divinity, get the bare bones. They also have switches available as well as keycaps, so you can kind of build your kit, get them in pieces, and then make the keyboard look exactly the way you want. Now, in terms of build quality and features from this keyboard, like I mentioned, is the exact same as regular K2 V2, which is a previous iteration of this. You still get 3 typing angles, you still get the feet in the back, so you can have it set down with no feet. You can have the small feet or the large feet, depending on what typing angle you want to use. I personally like using the smaller ones because with the tall ones, it almost feels like the keyboard is facing me, and I don't like that. I still like kind of a little bit more flat profile. Sometimes I use it with the small feet, sometimes I use it just like that, just flat on the desk. And then you also get that same build quality that's plastic. There is what they call the aluminum version. I don't really think it's an aluminum version, or they shouldn't even call it that. It's kind of all plastic build. They're just adding these plates along the edges of all 4 sides, and then they're just kind of screw in. I think that causes more kind of pinging or more louder noises because these are just screwed onto the plastic. So whenever the plastic shakes, the aluminum also kind of bounces into one another. But aside from the sound and the acoustics that the aluminum adds, it also adds a little bit more weight and a little bit more premium look than just plastic. So I do kind of like that. There's a little bit less fingerprints. Even looking at it now in the light, there's a lot more fingerprints on the ABS or the plastic on the bottom than there is on the aluminum piece. So that's always really nice. And then you also get the same layout, like I mentioned, as you would on a Mac keyboard or the K2 V2, with all of the function row being mapped to all of the media keys on a Mac. And then you still get the number row, you still get the arrow keys. You get basically everything that you would need from a keyboard, especially one that's going to be portable, that you'll take everywhere and you can use for anything that you need it for. And then also, like I mentioned, you do get the added functionality of being QMK and VIA compatible, meaning if you don't like any of the keys or you don't really use them that much, especially the ones here on the side, if you're not using the page up and all of that, you can customize them to do exactly what you want. You can hook them up via the cable. You do have to wire it to your Mac, and then you can actually use the VIA online app, which doesn't require you to download a JSON file and then load it up into the VIA app. You can actually just go online, type in, I'll actually link it down in the description, and then if you just authorize the device, you can authorize the K2 and just map it out exactly how you want straight from there. Now, luckily, whenever you disconnect the keyboard, all of those macros will still be saved into the onboard memory. So once you disconnect it, you can go back to using a Bluetooth, being portable, and you won't lose any of the macros that you just set. And if you are using this for a lot of typing and you're kind of carrying it around as your main keyboard, having these double shot PBT keycaps, like I said, is going to be a lot better because you won't get oily keycaps and you definitely won't be rubbing off any of the key legends on here. The LEDs are not going to be see-through, but you don't really need that, especially if you're moving it around into other spaces like an office or a coffee shop. Those are usually pretty well-lit places, so that you can always see the key legends. One thing I will mention, especially if this is your first keyboard, is that the keycaps by Keychron are usually not the top tier, I guess, really well made. They're double shot, meaning they have the second color underneath. That's where you get the color for the key legends themselves. But Keychron has this thing where they just only fill the top of the keycap on the inside, which then makes it sound a little bit more hollow to my ear. So whenever I'm typing on it, they do sound a little more hollow than something that's a little more expensive like PBT fans or ePBT, or even if it was just a die sub keycap where they just print the key legends rather than going this route of calling them double shot and then only putting a little bit, only barely enough to fill up the key legend. But aside from the keycaps, I think this is a great keyboard. I think the verdict is that if you're looking for a keyboard that's portable, that's Bluetooth, that's fully customizable, you can change the switches, you can change out the keycaps, you have QMK, you have VIA compatible, it comes with an aluminum plate installed, meaning you don't have to pay an extra $15-20. Usually that's how much you have to pay for an extra plate. This comes installed in here. It has the foam, it has the silicone. It's a lot less mods that you have to do to it so that it sounds kind of the more premium sound. Back then with the K2 V2, I remember there was a lot of different mods, from the silicone to the PCB foam to everything that you would do to make it sound a little bit deeper and not as loud. This is already all installed in here, and it only costs $20 more than the K2 V2. Or if you go through the Divinity bare bones, it costs less than you would pay for a K2 V2. So I think that it is a no-brainer to go with the K2 Pro if you're looking to get into mechanical keyboards, something that's Bluetooth and portable so you can take it with you anywhere you go. I do still think that this should be called the V Pro instead of the K Pro or the Q Lite or any of those. Really, it's another different keyboard that adds just one more functionality over any of the keyboards, whether it's Bluetooth from the V series, it's QMK compatible from the K series, or the Bluetooth option from the Q series, and it's made of plastic. Keychron is coming out with the Q Pro, adding another set of lineup to their series of keyboards, but that I will do a review on later this year. This is definitely something that you need to take everywhere with you, something that's one less cable to carry around. I definitely think it's worth it, but I'm excited to see what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments, is the K2 Pro a keyboard that you're going to be picking up? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like this video if you made it this far, and I will catch you on the next one.